Tonight began the new chapter for AEW, All Elite Wrestling, as last week felt like it was the end of the year. It felt like a close of the chapter for AEW, as AEW is entering into a new phase in 2026. They opened up the show this year in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with a solid card going into it. And overall, it was a really damn good show. The pacing was really nice. Everything got time. Was it perfect? No. Do I have my mini rants that I want to get on? Yes, I do. So we got quite a few things to talk about tonight when it comes to AEW. But overall, man, it was a really good show and it was a really good start to the new year. They had to sell you on a couple matches next week for the themed episode of Dynamite in Phoenix, Arizona, Maximum Carnage. And I'm looking forward to it, man. So it was a really good show tonight. We're going to get more in depth with it. We've got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the biggest headliner in this show tonight was the return again of Andrade El Idolo, who is official a member of the Don Callis family. Because, yes, while it would be football season and I wouldn't be doing the AEW reviews, I've been keeping up with this show. And Andrade was a member of the Don Callis family back in October, but then he had to get pulled from TV because of contractual obligations and contract issues with WWE that he couldn't appear on AEW, and it got figured out in the beginning of the year, I guess. More reports will probably come out tomorrow, if I'm guessing. Um, but Andrade is back in AEW, and he is a part of the Don Callis family. After the lights went out, they did this angle where Jet Speed was going to be out tonight, and Jet Speed ended up getting attacked by Andrade and the Don Callis family, and that was literally the big headliner tonight, was the return of Andrade to AEW. It's been kind of wild, man. He went from WWE to AEW, back to WWE in 2024, back to AEW this year. I believe his last match was SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that, but I believe his last match was that TLC match at SummerSlam. I could be totally wrong, but and then I guess back with WWE because he's again contractual issues, and he appeared on like House of Glory, which is independent. He appeared in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and now to start the new year in 2026, he is back. Andrade is back. The Don Callis family, you can literally have a franchise with the amount of guys that are in that faction. So we got that. We have MJF versus Bandito next week for the World Championship. Bandito stands no chance, no shot against MJF, but I do expect it to be an amazing match. And I do think they're going to go all out for this match. And just Bandito is so incredible. And this match next week against MJF for the World Heavyweight Championship should be an absolute banger, man. So I'm looking forward to it. And we got a lot more stuff to talk about with this show tonight. Way better than Raw on Monday, I will say. Way better than the season premiere, the crossover with Stranger Things. the WWE Stranger Things crossover on Monday, and then last night with Obafemi and him relinquishing the NXT Championship. It's been a wild week in the world of professional wrestling. I guess that's what happens when you get to the first week of a new year. But I appreciate you guys joining me. We have a lot to talk about, and I really don't want to waste any much more time. So if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and check out the Monday Night Raw review from Monday. It'll be up in the last 20 seconds of this podcast. All you gotta do is click it, and it'll take you right there. But of course, don't do that until you've watched the entirety of the AEW Dynamite review podcast right here on the Big Fight Field channel. We are back in the swing of things. The football season is over. We are back to professional wrestling here on the Big Fight Field channel. I guess, in season, kind of, before the entire NFL goes into the off season, one more Dolphins video, and I don't know when that's going to be because I don't know when the Dolphins are going to hire their general manager. So, whenever that happens, I will make a podcast about that. But besides that, we're all wrestling here on the Big Fight Field channel. So, let's go ahead. Let's dive into this show. We kicked off the night with Jon Moxley versus Shelton Benjamin in an eliminator match for the Continental Championship eliminator match. Before I get to anything about the wrestling or whatever rant I'm going to go on for a little bit, Shelton Benjamin came out. He was the first one, and if you guys realized, or second one, I'm sorry, he seemed pretty emotional. He was in tears. I didn't know why he was in tears, but it appeared. I went on social media and looked, and yeah, there was a it was another protest in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Over 10,000 people in the streets of Minneapolis protesting ICE after a woman was shot by a federal agent. Shelton Benjamin went to college at the University of Minnesota. That's what I would imagine he's upset about. And my just thoughts and prayers to everybody out in Minnesota. Just really upsetting and, tragedy stuff over there. But I can imagine that's why Shelton was upset during his entrance. But he really locked in, man, and put on a really, really good match with Jon Moxley. This match was really good. And Moxley, he's the Continental Champion, and I'm just so confused because, I haven't really gotten the chance to talk about it, so I want to talk about it. All the way back in July at All In Texas, AEW merged the Continental title and the International title, combine it to one, and make it the Unified Championship. Kazuchika Okada was the first ever, Unified Champion. And he's not defending whenever he's having a match or defending a championship, he's defending the Unified Championship. And we get to the Continental Classic, which, by the way, is a fantastic tournament every year. I'm not complaining about that. What I'm complaining about is It's just so confusing to people like me and to the viewing audience what title is which, because you are just flat out confusing people, and just I'm confused. This Continental Championship got merged with the International Championship to make it the Unified Championship. So why in the Continental Classic were they just not fighting for the Unified Championship? They were fighting for the Continental Championship. So now Jon Moxley is not the Unified Champion. Jon Moxley is just the Continental Champion. So I'm confused. Okada was the champion going into the tournament. Is Okada still the unified champion? Okada was walking around with the international champ. I'm so confused. I wish they would do a better job of explaining it. I don't know why it's no longer the unified championship, because the Continental title got merged and now it's back, and oh my gosh. It's just so confusing. It's really confusing, and I just wish AEW would explain it a little bit more, because some people in the audience, the fan base that watches on Wednesday nights, like me, are confused. But the match with Shelton was really good. They fought in the crowd. They fought at ringside. Moxley hit a cutter on the outside. They were doing so much cool stuff. Shelton Benjamin ran up to the top rope, hit the exploder suplex. His knee strikes are ridiculously good. Jon Moxley is just, I feel like after the stuff with the conglomeration, he just turned it on. And his character is so good. And the face turn in the Continental Classic was gold. And I'm guessing that Death Riders are all baby faces now. I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing. But just Jon Moxley is awesome. And I love these matches every week. I love these eliminator matches. Like this one with Shelton Benjamin. This one was so good. They ended it at 19:55 with a 20-minute time limit. And I was actually upset when Moxley won with the cradle, I guess, because Shelton Benjamin had a triangle hold, so all Moxley had to do was stand up a little bit and get the cover in on him. I was just so upset that Moxley won, because these guys were having such a good match. I would have loved to see them run it back for the Continental Championship instead of just having a match with, hey, if you beat the champion, you get a title match. But the match was really good. Jon Moxley wins, and it was a great way to kick off the show tonight in Tulsa. We had the Demand, Ricochet, the AEW National Champion, and the GOA, Gates of Agony. They went up against Jack Perry and what was supposed to be Jet Speed. But Jet Speed got taken out by Mark Davis and Jake something. Or Jake Doyle, the former Jake something from TNA, who's now signed with AEW and is apparently a part of the Don Callis family. And him and Mark Davis make a good pairing. I'm just saying. It's a match made in heaven. But that could be a tag team that they could use in the tag team division. But Jack Perry had no partners, so he was by himself. And he got himself some former friends in the Young Bucks, who are now baby faces, as they had their babyface turn at Full Gear, which I was there live for. joining Kenny Omega, getting the Elite back together, and they teamed up with Jack Perry tonight against The Demand. Just a super, super fun match. This was your party match of the night, basically. All chaos, Poison Rana, super kicks, topes, tornado DDTs, Toa Leona just being awesome in the match. Young Bucks going crazy. TK drivers. Um, and Jack Perry would pin Ricochet again. And he pinned him in the World's End pre-show thing. He had a match last week with Ricochet for the national championship, and he lost. And he pinned Ricochet again. So I'm guessing he's getting another match with Ricochet. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the best way to make your national champion look, is he's getting pinned in these multi-man matches, and then that earns title matches, and I don't know, man. It's a little weak for me if you ask me, but it is what it is, and it looks like we're leading towards another Jack Perry Ricochet match for the AEW National Championship. We had the Willow Nightingale TBS Championship celebration. Mercedes Moné finally lost that TBS Championship last week to close off 2025 for AEW. She has been on a downward spiral. It all began at Full Gear, losing to capture the AEW Women's Championship against Chris Statlander. She then lost to Red Velvet. She lost to Alex Windsor. And last week, she lost her TBS Championship, which she's basically had since Mercedes got to AEW. So, Willow's cutting this promo. She's with Harley Cameron. She's putting over her other half of the AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions. She's putting over Chris Statlander, who she reunited with last week. And Mercedes, she actually invites Mercedes out to let her know that Mercedes brung her to her best, and we wouldn't get the best version of Willow without Mercedes, or whatever she was saying. But Mercedes was not having it. She looked very depressed. She's losing all of her titles. She's losing all of her main titles, I will say. And Harley tries to cheer her up, and that doesn't work. She pushes Harley, and she then goes to push Willow, but then Willow trips Mercedes, and there's a cake there, because of course there is in a celebration. So Mercedes trips into the cake, and Willow hits her with the Dr. Bomb, power bomb, onto the cake. And that's your segment. Just more embarrassment for Mercedes Moné and this character. It's so good. She's losing her mind. She's lost all these big titles. And they talk about what great 2025 she had. Meanwhile, she ended the year horribly, losing all of her main titles. She's down bad right now. And where she goes from here, I don't really know. But now you've got Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, and Harley Cameron all aligned together, and they're holding all the titles in the AEW women's division. So, bit of a comedy segment, I guess, with the cake, but the Mercedes character continues to get good, with her being very much in depression because she's losing all these titles. Bandito versus Sammy Guevara. We're at the halfway point now of this show. Bandito is getting a world title match next week against MJF after he beat Ricochet a couple weeks ago at Hammerstein Ballroom for that Dynamite Christmas special. And he had a bit, I guess, a match with Sammy. God, talk about yesterday's news. Sammy Guevara. What a fall off. And honestly, I was never really a big Sammy Guevara fan. But he is now, I guess, full time with Ring of Honor, which is the best thing because he was never getting over with the AEW audience. Bandito is, though. Bandito's the Ring of Honor World Champion, but Bandito is just so good. He is awesome. He has a lot of charisma. And I saw someone on the internet, I don't know who it was, I won't say names, but saying that this match was going to be bad. I'm sorry, man, but Bandito does not produce bad matches. Bandito has been one of the best wrestlers in the world since he came back. And yes, Sammy Guevara is boring, but Sammy Guevara is a pretty good wrestler. So this was enjoyable. This was a very good match. Bandito won with the 21 plex. This match was not what it was about. It was about what happened afterwards with the segment with him and the world champion MJF. So MJF comes out and he's got John Cruz with him because John Cruz is going to translate what MJF is saying in Spanish. So MJF, he talks about Lucha Libre and how nobody knows Lucha Libre more than MJF. And he actually probably one of the most beloved wrestlers in Mexico. He has sold out Arena Mexico twice in 1 year. Once in June, the other one in July or August, I think it was. Whenever he had the match with Mystico. It was September. Okay. He sold out Arena Mexico twice. And he says, I'll tell you what though, kid. You have all the potential in the world. Not my potential, but you do have potential. And I do want you to know that. That one day you're going to be a world champion. But it's not going to be on my watch. And he brings up the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And before he does that, he's making John Cruz translate to Bandito what he just said in Spanish. And then he goes on his second part. And he says, what you have on my hand right now is something that I've had for 6 years. And it is that Dynamite Diamond Ring. And that's apparently what they were. I was so confused when he brought that up. I guess Bandito won the ring. But MJF ended up getting it back. But he was like, you can give me the ring and we can cancel this match next week. But look, 5-10 years down the line, I'm going to give you a match with me live on pay-per-view and you're going to thank me for the rest of your life. And he said, Max, I can speak English, you stupid bitch. So then they get face to face. Seems like they're going to fight. MJF just goes low. He kicks Bandito low. And he has John Cruz holding on to him. And he misses Bandito. He hits John Cruz. MJF gets a taste of his own medicine by him getting a low blow. He takes a low blow by Bandito. He leans up onto the rope and he takes a 21 plex. And Bandito curses himself by holding up the World Championship. Because Wrestling 101, for all you new wrestling fans out there, if you're challenging for a championship and you hold up the championship the week before your match, or however many weeks, 2 weeks, it's got to be like 2 weeks or a week. If you hold up the title a week before your match, you are fucked going into next week. That's a curse. So Bandito cursed himself, and yes, it's going to be an amazing match. But MJF, one of, if not the biggest stars in AEW right now, his first defense of the world title, there is no chance he's losing this match next week. It will be amazing, but MJF is retaining that title next week in Phoenix. We go to Tony Storm and Marina Shafir, and I don't know, man. I wasn't the biggest fan of this one. This was sloppy. I know they've been feuding for a very long time. I've known the Death Riders and the conglomeration have been feuding for months because that was the Blood and Guts match in November. I guess they just have nothing for either faction, so they're just feuding them with each other. I really don't have much to say about it. I didn't like the match. I didn't like the ending of it ending in a DQ. Why are we protecting Marina Shafir? Death Riders get involved. Garcia and Wheeler Yuta, and then Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong come out to try to even up the odds, and the Death Riders bail. Claudio tries to act all tough guy, and Yuta and Garcia tell him, hey, we're going to wait another day here. And then we go to Pac in the back. Renee's asking him over and over again about Darby, and Darby wanting this match with him, and Darby's been looking for him all night. Darby finally finds Pac, and he's like, listen, I've beaten everybody in the Death Riders except for you, and I can't move on unless I beat you. And Pac's like, look, man, I've beaten you twice in my career. I gained nothing from wrestling you. So my answer is no. And he says, I'm not asking, I'm telling you to your face, my answer is no. I have no interest in competing against you again. So Darby takes a fire extinguisher and he challenges Pac. And he's like, you better accept my challenge or I'm going to break your ankle. Pac accepts. The match is happening next week in Phoenix on Maximum Carnage. Hopefully Darby wins and we're all done with Darby Allin and Death Riders. We can go our separate ways. So next week is the Dynamite special Maximum Carnage from Phoenix. So far announced for the show, like I just said, Darby Allin versus Pac again. Rematch from the Full Gear pay-per-view in November. We have Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale, and Harley Cameron going up against the Triangle of Madness, Tekla, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart. And then the AEW World Championship, Bandito is challenging MJF. That's more than likely the main event next week. I said I had 2 rants earlier in the show that I wanted to get off, and you're going to get another one here, kind of. The main event, was a lights out match between Swerve Strickland and Adam Page against Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook, the Ops. It's just so baffling to me that that the commentary team, they brung up the only reason Swerve and Hangman accepted this match was because they want to get back in line for a world title match. And I'm like, that's just so stupid, because they're doing it in a match that is called a lights out match. A lights out match doesn't count in the record books. So really, they're wasting their time, because they want a shot at the world title against MJF. MJF said they got to pick up wins. That's what he said last week. It doesn't count in the record book. So that logic gap, it just sounds so stupid. The only reason Swerve and Hangman are taking this match is because they want to stack up wins to get a shot at the AEW World Champion. Well, it's a lights out match, and you're not gonna win, and like, it doesn't count in the record books. And yes, they beat Hook and Hobbs' ass. They treated Hook like a punching bag, and he tapped out to the chain spot, and like, you had the ops dojo in there, and they had some cool spots with cinder blocks. But overall, man, it's just the tough guys got their asses kicked. The geeks from the dojo, they got their asses kicked. Swerve and Hangman are awesome, but I don't know, man. Just not my favorite main event, not my favorite cup of tea. But I mean, overall, it was a very good episode of Dynamite. I'm very much looking forward to Maximum Carnage next week. And also, Kenny Omega's back next week, which should be very exciting. So, until then, speaking of Kenny Omega, I'll see you in the next video, and I bid you adieu. Goodbye, and good night, bang. Have a good night, stay safe, and as always, stay classy.